from wherever you are. This is Gill Barham here, the lifestyle leader, and I'm co-hosting today's show with Marina Nani. Hello, Marina.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. You are here at the right time with the right people at the right place. You know what? Gill is saving 1 million lives this year and another 1 million lives next year and each year. That's her target. What is your target? Who do you want to save? Do you want to save yourself? I think you are at the right place at the right time. Over to you, Gill.
Thank you, Marina. So it sounds like an extraordinary, extravagant thing to say, doesn't it? Saving 1 million lives. But when you consider that here in the UK alone, you know, we have 66 million people, then actually saving 1 million lives across the world is a really tiny fraction, and it's really only the start of what I want to achieve with a team of people that I'm developing to help me do that. So before I go on to today's subject, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up into what we've talked about before. So in the first show, which was a couple of weeks ago now, Marina invited me on, I told everybody my story about how I discovered preventative medicine, to take preventative action for my own health, and how important that's been for me and my family, and also how I've gone on to use functional nutrition, nutraceuticals, herbs, all those kind of things to help people to prevent illness and also to recover from illness too. So that was week one. That was my story. And it's I think you'll find it's quite a powerful one. And then last week we talked about toxicity in the body and how our 21st century living means that we are at much more risk of general disease now than ever we were before. So our parents and grandparents, they really just needed to get on with their lives and didn't have the risks that we have today of our 21st century lifestyle. They weren't really working the long hours that we work. They were getting access to really high quality food that we now call organic food. They just called food. There was a better life-work balance in the family, usually. Families were eating together around the table, for example. All of these things that are now not trendy anymore in our 21st century living, including, you know, fast food, eating on the go. These have impacted our health, the health of the nation, massively. And we're seeing more illness and disease than we've ever had before. And it's extraordinary, really, that we spend millions and millions and billions of dollars on looking at how we can cure disease. There's a lot of research, there's a lot of fundraising that goes on in terms of finding the cure for cancer or beating heart disease. But actually, if we were making advances into those things, then we wouldn't be seeing the rise in diseases that we are now. And my particular interest is in the rise of heart disease. And that's really what I want to talk to you about a little bit today. And when I'm talking about heart disease, I'm really talking about the cardiovascular system. And here's the secret. Are you ready, Marina?
Well, I got a bigger notebook today because I know the old one is redundant now. It's full. So you know, saving lives, our listeners could think, so what's saving lives? What that really means, you know, like when do you begin to save a life? I think you begin with yourself. If you manage to save your own life, you are ready to save other people's life. And we are not talking here about $1 or a vaccine, a small dose of some medicine, because unlike medical treatment, saving lives is a concept. It is a new concept of just bringing yourself at the table and talk to the people you love about their issues. Find out how you could listen best from now on, because most of the time people don't have time to listen to their family, to their friends. If somebody is ill, the tendency is to say, oh, go and see a doctor, go to your GP, and nobody have time to remember that actually before you go there you have a chance to save your life, to live a healthy life, and protect your heart, because everything happens in your heart. All the worries, all the heartaches, and everything that is not going well in your life is going to first is going to attack your heart. So our listeners had moments in their life, because I did, and I'm sure everybody else did, moments when you feel that your heart is going to implode. It's so much of nothing else left as a solution. You tried everything, and yet you feel that you can't carry on anymore, and you feel that that pressure in your heart is almost like a ticking bomb. Over to you, Gill.
Absolutely. And I think that's why, you know, what you learn to do when you come to a crisis point, which is what happened to me 4 years ago, is that, you know, it's a bit like a car. I think I described this the last time, is that we all have flashing lights on our dashboard. So if you've ever driven a car or been in a car, you get a warning light on your dashboard. And that warning light may be because you need more fuel or more water, or you need to pump your tires up. And your body's just the same. Your body gives you a flashing light. So it may be that you have migraines. It may be that you have just low energy. It may be that you have intestinal problems. Your body will give you flashing lights. And what it wants you to do is to take notice and to do something about those flashing lights. In the same way as that you would stop your car, you would fill it up with fuel, you would put water in it. If you couldn't do that, you would take it to a garage, you would get a diagnostic done on it, or you would get it regularly serviced. Because actually, those people like me that are in a position now to be able to afford servicing my car means that I can get into my car and go on a long journey with the confidence that I'm going to reach my destination. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but you know, when I was younger, I would get in my car and the first thing I would think of was, well, is it going to start? Am I actually going to get to where I need to be? Have I got my, you know, my road assistance badge with me? Because I might break down. And that wasn't a nice feeling. The great thing about preventative medicine, about preventative care, is that yes, things may just go wrong, but the confidence and the security that you have when you can take control of your destiny, of your health and your physical life, your well-being, gives you that confidence to be able to get on with life, so that you don't have to worry about whether or not your car, or i.e. your vehicle, your body is going to break down or not. So one of the things that I'd like you to understand is the root cause of most disease, and the biggest killer in the whole of the world, and I know that we have listeners from all over the world here, the biggest killer nationwide is heart disease. And it kills more people than respiratory disease, diabetes, accidents, and cancer put together. And I'd just like to give you a few statistics, because, you know, we have a lot of press, we have a lot of fundraising going on in terms of cancer particularly, don't we? You know, there's a lot of people who raise money for cancer. And I'm not saying that that's the wrong thing to do, but I think we need to put it a little bit into perspective. So, for example, for the ladies that are listening, cardiovascular disease or coronary heart disease kills more than twice as many women as breast cancer. We have more deaths from coronary heart disease which are caused by heart attacks. So heart attack kills 3 out of 10 people. People tend to think that because you've had a heart attack that you're going to survive it. Well, unfortunately, 3 out of 10 people don't survive their heart attack. And there are some risk factors that are involved in heart attacks and also strokes. So, for example, strokes cause nearly 40,000 deaths in the UK alone each year. 1.2 million people in the UK have survived a stroke, but almost half of those stroke survivors are under the age of 75. So we tend to think of heart attacks and strokes as being things that older people suffer one, but actually the incidence of this is getting younger and younger. So nearly 3.5 million adults in the UK have been diagnosed with diabetes, for example. But it's also estimated that over 500,000 more are living with undiagnosed type 2 diabetes. And if you are a diabetic, you are at greater risk of suffering with cardiovascular disease. So we hear of people who have having strokes, very poor circulation, problem with eyes. Now, nearly 30% of adults in the UK have high blood pressure, and up to half of those are not receiving any treatment at all. And blood pressure is the single most important factor of any condition that increases your risk of cardiovascular disease, of heart disease and stroke, or indeed a blood clot. Now, if you listen to my story, you'll know that my mother died of a blood clot in the lung. And if I'd known then what I know now, you know, I could have prevented my mother dying when I was only 28. You know, it's not, I can't say it's a regret, but it's very sad, because I don't want you to be in that position. I want you to be able to look after yourself and to prevent this happening to the people that you know and love. 1 in 2 people will suffer a heart attack. So if that's not you, that might be the person that you love. So what can we do about it? What is the secret thing that we can do, that is the one easy thing that we can do to stop this rising tide of heart disease? Now, in 1998, there was a Nobel Prize awarded to 3 eminent scientists. And it was awarded for the discovery of what's now become known as the miracle molecule. Hooray, we finally got it. So the miracle molecule is actually nitric oxide. Now, what nitric oxide does in the body is it helps to keep your arteries flexible. It helps to keep them non-sticky. It helps to keep them so that they are smooth. Now, the way that we develop heart disease is when our blood pressure is high, or when we create inflammation in the body. So if you're stressed, which is why we talked a lot about toxicity last week. So if your body is under stress, either because of what you're putting in your mouth or because of the lifestyle that you lead, then you're more likely to suffer with inflammation. If you have high blood pressure, what it does is it creates floppy arteries. It creates damage in the arteries. So you then have a kind of wound. And just like if you cut your hand, if you can imagine, if you cut your hand, you'll get inflammation around that cut, which is the redness. And the body does what it's supposed to do. It sends out all of these extra nutrients to mend it, which is fine. But when that happens inside the artery, what happens then is it kind of draws and attracts plaque to that bit of that inflammatory site. And as that plaque grows up, it then occludes the artery. And this is the moment at which, from being ostensibly perfectly healthy person, you can all of a sudden throw a clot, which can either travel to the brain to cause a heart attack or to cause a stroke, can travel to the heart to cause a heart attack, or can indeed travel to the lungs to cause a pulmonary embolus. Am I going too fast? Am I making this easy, Marina?
No, we are on track, and I already feel a couple of pages, so keep going, don't stop.
Okay, so what the scientists discovered back in the 1990s was that nitric oxide is a signaling molecule that helps the arteries to remain smooth. And nitric oxide is only produced in the very one cell wall of the artery, the endothelial cells. So if you can imagine, if you've got, as you get older, your arteries develop more plaque, more calcium deposits, more arteriosclerosis, more inflammation, it's very difficult, almost impossible, for that nitric oxide to do its job. So it's a bit like a roller coaster. When the nitric oxide isn't able to be produced, then you develop more inflammation and more arteriosclerosis. Because you've got more inflammation and arteriosclerosis, you can't develop nitric oxide. So what they discovered was that by producing more nitric oxide on a consistent basis in the body is that we can not only prevent arteriosclerosis and the build-up, the inflammation and blood clotting, but we can also reverse disease in the arteries. And that is what makes this the so-called miracle molecule. And I truly believe it is like that, because I think in just a few years' time, once more and more people become aware of this, we're going to look back at it like we do at the discovery of insulin, at the discovery of antibiotics, penicillin, at the discovery of X-rays. You know, we wouldn't dream of being without those things in our modern lives. And nitric oxide is going to be the same thing. So nitric oxide has gone on to be the precursor for all sorts of pharmaceutical medications that you may already be familiar with. Because if nitric oxide is a vasodilator, in other words, it allows the vessels to open up and therefore for the blood flow to be better. So you can imagine if you're getting better blood flow around the body, then what are the things that could help? Well, it's going to help your heart beat better. It's going to be able to reduce your blood pressure naturally. It's going to reduce your cholesterol levels in your blood, because nitric oxide, and particularly the precursor to it, which is an amino acid called L-arginine, has been shown to reverse the LDL cholesterol in your blood, which is the bad cholesterol. It also means that you're getting better blood supply to your joints. It means you're getting better blood supply to your brain. So in particular, things like vascular dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, we're able to increase the level of oxygen and therefore help with those conditions too. So it really is a catch-all, a miracle molecule. And this L-arginine has been studied for 25 years. And the scientists that I work very closely with have been clinically trialing L-arginine to try and get it to be produced in the body, not only for the 2 hours that would normally happen, but in order to get a therapeutic dose, we need L-arginine to be present all of the time. And the synergistic product that I use includes another semi-essential amino acid called L-citrulline, which converts over a period of hours to L-arginine, which means that you've got this long-term production of nitric oxide in the blood, which means that you're only not able to prevent cardiovascular disease, but you're also able to reverse it. And on my website, you'll see www.thelifestyleleader.co.uk. There are some phenomenal stories of people who are bringing their blood pressure down from 200 over 100, their biological age is reducing, their arterial stiffness is reducing. We are helping people with autoimmune diseases like ME and fibromyalgia by increasing the oxygen supply to the body and reducing inflammation. With rheumatoid arthritis even, with simple things like, well, they're not simple to you if you have them, migraines, with intestinal function, but it also enhances performance as well, because if you're a marathon runner, if you even just go out for a jog, the more oxygen you can get into your body, the more you've got energy to do what you need to do, and the more you've got the recovery as well after that particular exercise that you've done. Does that make sense, Marina?
Does. And you know, apart from all the technical terms and apart from all the scientific facts, our listeners could try for themselves, you know, wake up in the morning, go for a run. You don't run, that's fine. Take your dog for a walk. Allow oxygen to come to your brain, because that is going to change the whole day. This is what I do early in the morning. I just go for a walk. I don't run. I don't do all these amazing things other people can do, because it's not for me. But I walk and I cycle. And that fresh air makes I could say that fresh air is my best friend.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And it's something anyone can try. You don't need to be young and invincible. You don't need to be old and wise. You just need to go out.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that, you know, one of the things that we want to educate people about is taking those small steps. So literally taking those small steps in this case. So the lifestyle and well-being is all about changing one thing at a time. And when I was working before with a range of different things, it was very confusing for people because it was too much change all at once. But if you can make things very simple for people, particularly if you're giving them a lovely tasting drink, for example, which is what you know, this is what I use every day, to get to increase that nitric oxide, you can develop that habit. So well-being, lifestyle changes, it's all about developing good habits. And the easier that I can make that for you, for my clients, the happier we're all going to be. The more preventative care that we give in this world, the less strain we have on our, for example, in the UK and our National Health Service, the less strain we have on our pockets if we're having to pay for our health care. You know, it's all about taking steps now. Rather than paying for some medical insurance, why don't you invest in your health now and take preventative steps? That would be my message.
Wow.
Over to you, Marina.
What I can say is it's almost, you said it all and you said it best. And I would like to add what Buddha said, that no one saves us but ourselves. No one can add, no one may. We ourselves must walk the path.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, if you're going to, it's like anything in the world, is if you want to achieve something, then follow the people that are achieving it, whether it's in business, whether it's in the arts, whether it's in your health. Follow somebody that is walking their talk. That would be my advice to you. And Marina, you're a big inspiration to me because you definitely walk your talk. And the people that I have mentoring me, the people that I work with, the company that I choose to work with, have the same morals and ethics as me. They walk their talk. They have a passion for not only creating health around the world, but also helping people with their financial situation as well, which is so exciting to me because life is about living to the full and giving people opportunity. The only way that we can do that is educate, inspire, and then let them choose their own path.
Wow, from both of us, until next time, just open your heart. It's so much more out there. Just walk into this amazing opportunity which is called life and become life. Over to you, Gill.
Thank you, Marina. I've really enjoyed talking to you all this morning. Do find me on Facebook if you can. I'm also on Twitter and I'm also in LinkedIn. So if you want to ask me any questions, then please do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. Bye now, and I'll see you next week.
Who can afford not to connect with you, Gill? Goodbye.
Bye.